Look at him. Look at his incredible smile. Look at his handsome and elusive look. I am curious, who would consider adopting him? Yeah, it's all for free, by the way. Yeah, who will adopt him? Yes? Anybody else? Yeah? And I can guarantee you won't regret. And he's cute, right? Don't you think? Yeah, I think he's cute. So the guy on this photo is a former refugee, and I stand in front of you as an engaged Dutch citizen. And before I explain to you why it is such a great idea to adopt a refugee, I would like to do a small exercise with you. First of all, I would like you to close your eyes. Please close your eyes. And then, I want you to think about the best memories of your childhood. While you still close your eyes, I want you to think about that one thing, that one person, or that one place that you really care and cherish the most. Please, think about the happiness, especially think about the beauty and the simplicity you receive from them. So pure, so natural. Feel home. Now, I want you to open your eyes and have a look at this photo. The guy on this photo is me. It was 80 years ago, and I was a new refugee to the Netherlands. I didn't feel home at all. Literally, the ground, the smell, the language, the jokes, almost everything was new to me. I even felt guilty for coming to a country that belongs to others. Before I came to the Netherlands, my home was in the eastern part of the Congo, a region that was confronted by a complicated war that led to more than 5 million dead, the most deadly war after the Second World War. Millions flew the country. I was one of these refugees, and I went to the neighboring country, Tanzania. Unfortunately, my family was not safe in Tanzania. Therefore, we received asylum in the Netherlands. I am not the only one. 60 million people worldwide are refugees. And policymakers like to talk about these refugees in number. They talk about what they cost and if we can manage their influx. However, once we reduce a human being to a number, we certainly take his or her human dignity away. This dehumanization leads to stigmatization. This dehumanization leads to negative images about refugees. Refugees are being seen as pathetic, poor, and stupid. I remember, for instance, when I was new to the Netherlands, this Dutch lady who spoke to me very slowly with hand gestures. Begrijp jij mij? She treated me like a baby simply because I was new to a country and I didn't master the language very well. I even felt that I had to prove myself before she could understand that I too was a human being. Refugees are also treated differently by the fact that their tragic past must always be the subject of the conversation. On a daily basis, I receive questions like, why did you leave? And how did you come here? Don't get me wrong. I completely understand that people ask these questions out of curiosity. But I can tell you, these are very personal and hard questions to ask a former refugee in a random conversation. Nowadays, when someone asks me, how did you come to the Netherlands? I always say, I came by crawling on the ground. Of course, that's me trying to be funny. And as you may know, making jokes is one of the highest levels of understanding a society. So luckily for me, the negative images about refugees in the public debate didn't stop me from finding my way in the Netherlands. I eventually became a student, a writer in major Dutch newspapers, and an entrepreneur. So, how did I end up here? It's definitely by hard work. I saw opportunities, and I did whatever I could to make something of my new life. But I could never do it alone. It is thanks to the support of Dutch people, of Dutch citizens, that I eventually found my way in the Netherlands. It is thanks to the support of Dutch people who saw a human being beside me and looked beyond the label refugee that I eventually became part of the Dutch society. Mr. Jansen, for instance, he's a former school director who regularly came to visit me at a refugee center. Sundays, he brought me to his church. I found it very special that someone took his time and came to visit me. He once invited me to have a dinner at his place. I literally tasted the Netherlands through Mr. Jansen. He was one of my first networks with the Dutch society. Mrs. van Schaik, she was my Dutch teacher. Almost all young refugees are automatically sent to the lowest education level, simply because they don't master the Dutch language, they don't have a Dutch diploma, or don't understand the Dutch culture yet. I too was advised to follow the lowest education level. I refused to do this, and I went to a new school where Mrs. van Schaik became my new teacher. She was a passionate teacher who looked beyond the label refugee and discovered the potential in me. I remember Mrs. van Schaik telling me one day, "Jij hebt een VWO-mentaliteit," which means you have the mentality to do the highest education level in the Netherlands. That simple sentence, ladies and gentlemen, that simple sentence changed my life. She gave me my self-confidence back. 6 years later, I studied political science in Amsterdam. Johan and Annelies. Back in 2009, there were two complete strangers who now are family to me. That is because I lived in their house. When I was doing my high school, I needed a place where I could study in peace and develop a routine. Via a church, they discovered my search for house, and they gave me a place in their family. This was very courageous of them, and they literally provided me a home. So these three stories illustrate that beside my hard work, there were Dutch people who supported my journey. Despite the negative images about refugees in the public debate, normal citizens are willing to help, and they can make a difference for an individual like me. And the good news is, I am not unique. Every refugee has a unique story, and with our support, he or she can become the best version of him or herself. The only question is, are you strong enough to discover his potential? Can you look beyond the negative images about refugees in the public debate? By doing so, you will discover his dreams and vitality. Looking beyond the label refugee will help us to think differently in the way we search for solutions. So, decent fellow human, adopt a refugee. With adopting a refugee, I mean that citizens, like you, should be actively involved in the welcoming, guiding, and the integration process of refugees. The end goal is to give refugees a new home. So what we need to realize is that after receiving a shelter, refugees will need a home. So if you want to give refugees a home, why not adopt them? You can be Mr. Janssen and take someone, you can be Mr. Janssen and make the first network with refugees who are new to your society. You can be Mrs. Van Schaik and discover the potential and stimulate the potential of refugees. You can also be Johan and Annalise and take someone in your house. So the question is, what can we possibly lose by helping this guy to find his way in the Netherlands? My answer is, there is completely nothing to lose, but only love to gain. Not only because this guy is very cute, which is important to consider as well, but, ladies and gentlemen, because home is relative and love is universal. Thank you very much.